It's John Merrill with Century 21 Miller. Today I'm joined by Maude of Sold Right Away. Sold Right Away is a marketing company that focuses on real estate based in the Burlington area. And in fact, Maude actually was recently named chair of the Burlington Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I've been working with Maude for a few years now. She does all the photos for my listings, done a lot of video work. And everything that they do turns out really well. So with COVID-19, obviously, the market has evolved a bit. The weekly stats are showing that I think things are kind of flattening out in terms of sales and new listings being a bit more equal. So the market is still doing okay, but the number of transactions is down. But the transactions that are happening, I like to think, at least from all the data I've been looking at, that the ones that are selling are the ones that show well. And in order to show well, you got to market it well. And with a contactless world that we're working with right now, virtual tools are essential. And that's where I think Maude's going to be able to tell us a bit more. I've spoken in the past on how these tools exist, but I think we'll get into a little more detail today on how they look. So Maude, what? In the past, we would rely obviously on high quality photos, video where it makes sense for certain listings. I think now that's going to be a bit more heightened. Floor plans, virtual tours, and even virtual showings for that matter. But what does it all look like, and how are we tying it all together? My guess, and you tell me if I'm wrong, is that you wouldn't have been doing a Matterport on every listing in the past.
Before, no.
And I know from my side of the equation, we wouldn't do that. We would do it where it makes sense. But now I think the percentage of listings, if not all of them, should have something like that, whereby potential buyers can get a really good look at the property before actually visiting it, if at all.
Yeah. What I've noticed is a lot of agents were taking buyers through maybe 20, 30 houses before to go visit. They would book the showing, open the front door, walk in, be like, that's not what I thought, and then leave. So that will actually cost you more money and time in terms of you as an agent, but also disappointment for the buyer. Why would they go through that trouble to drive somewhere or be like, if they're not.
And for the seller too, because they had to leave the house.
They have to clean the house. They have to walk out. To make sure
they left, they drove, parked down the street and watched for you to leave.
Yeah, and then
it's still an interruption and still inconvenient.
Yeah, so for the inconvenience for the sellers and for save time and money for you and your buyer, using the 3D tour now, because of the COVID, has been increased in popularity. But now if you think about it, for after COVID, it's still going to be a great tool for all that. The 3D tour, the way people use it is you can pre-qualify your buyers, just say, walk through the property. You can make video of you explaining the features of the house in the 3D. And you could literally do 20 viewings in 1 hour instead of doing 20 in 4 days or whatever.
It's not unusual to spend an evening or an afternoon with a buyer driving around to 4, 5, 6, 8 different properties, and some of them you're in and out real quick. Some of them you're spending more time because they're more interested in them. But I think this is a way to kind of weed out the properties that maybe aren't going to truly meet the buyer's needs, which also saves the inconvenience of those sellers too.
Yeah.
I've always found it's interesting that over the last few weeks we've come to learn that all of this technology is so valuable and most of it works quite well. Here we are meeting on Zoom.
Yeah.
And yet it's all been around for a while.
It was all available. People were not using it. It was new. It's not convenient. When really it is actually more convenient.
Well, now when you're forced to, and maybe it's just a learning curve that people, you wouldn't learn it unless you had to, and now we have to, so we're using it more. But I've always found the video options are fantastic, and then marrying that with obviously photography, but the Matterport tour, I think for the buyer that's really keen on finding whatever meets their needs. And really serious about taking the whole process to heart and working through that, and having those tools at their disposal to be able to really truly see how well a property
shows
may appear is
in
fantastic.
a video. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in a video you can hide stuff. You can choose to only film the best feature, to film around things. But on a 3D, it is the real property. It is as is and really clear in 3D. So for the buyers, it's such a tool that you can eliminate a bunch of houses that you're not interested in, and then go to view the houses that are really important.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad that obviously that you offer all these services, and obviously been great working with you. But one of the things that I'm noticing a lot of, and maybe we'll come back to, I think you might be able to give us a demo of a Matterport tour. But one of the things I'm also seeing a bit of is virtual showings.
Yes.
So say for example, I visit the property. And on my own, and that way at least you've got eyeballs on what's physically there. Usually what's happening now is the seller's agent is including a checklist of sorts. Basically, you're agreeing that you're in good health, and so you take all the necessary safety precautions. But I might be at the property on my own and reporting back to you as a buyer. And in that case, I'm just using something as simple as Facebook,
FaceTime,
or FaceTime, WhatsApp video, and reporting that way. And at least you have eyeballs on the property. I think that's a great option. That
it is. I definitely think it's a great option if there's no 3D. Because again, if there's a 3D, you don't have to go to it. You don't have to do FaceTime, and the lighting, like, if you're there doing FaceTime, the sound, the lighting, and then you're walking in, so you're showing the property, which whatever you want to show with your phone, it's shaky, it's not clear, it could be dark. But with the 3D, once you see it, the way when we do a demo, you really experience the house as if you were there. So it's actually, I don't know, to me, it's amazing.
Well, it is. I think they're fantastic. Yeah, are we able to see a tour now?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to share my screen. And then, so there's a few things you can do that I find are phenomenal. So number one, to do a virtual viewing with someone, you can be on a Zoom call like this with your client, bring in the tour, bring them to the house. Then they can actually see the property, the stone, they can see details on the floor, they can actually see the cabinets, everything. So as we can say, oh, well, show me the fireplace. Like, I want to see more details. You can actually see it perfectly clear.
Yeah,
and
right
that's
up
the
close.
layout. Sorry?
Right up close, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's great.
The thing I like about this is that the quality of the image is so good, even when you zoom in close.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so clear.
I mean, you know this, and I know this, and I'm sure many buyers that I've worked with have known this as well, that, the photos always tend to present the property in its best possible light if you're using
in its best way
photography, which is awesome to get eyeballs on the property. But obviously when you go through a property, it doesn't take long to realize that the camera didn't capture all the imperfections.
Yeah, like you can see right here on the wall here, there's a little thing, which is tiny. Like, it's not a deal breaker, but you can
and there's another one above it. I can see it from here. But the, those little details normally you wouldn't pick up. And
yeah, you can see the dust here, right here. There's one little dust. Like, but yeah.
So it gives you, I think with this, you get a better sense for exactly how, if a house has been renovated, for example, how well the renovation has been performed in terms of finishes.
Definitely.
I can't tell you how many times I've been into a house that they said it was renovated, and you get there and the grout and
the baseboards are terrible, the floors.
All those little details, the grout and the backsplash, the baseboards, all that stuff.
You can see like the lines of the grout, and that's exactly what, to your point with the pictures. When I do pictures, I can control the light, I can control lighter, I can control the defects, I can Photoshop things out, little things, like it's not super legal to there's a backsplash. I can't hide that, but little details like that little thing on the wall, I would have probably photoshopped quickly just to make it perfect.
Yeah, no, I think this gives it a much truer and more accurate impression.
There is zero way to edit the Matterport to make anything better. Like you can't. Yeah, exactly. And then, which is perfect for all out there. So you can qualify your buyers before, show them this, and then walk them. If they say, show me the bedroom, the bathroom, the ensuite, you want to bring them anywhere, you can go back out, can go to the bedrooms, everything's there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I guess on the one hand, it puts a little more onus on the seller to make sure the house is as clean as possible and ready as possible for a Matterport shooting, because what's going to happen is it's going to pick up everything.
Yeah, so the shampoo bottle open there.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's
I think if the goal is to, if you're on the market today, it's probably because you need to be for some reason.
Yeah.
But you've already bought or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
So, we do know that the number of new listings is a bit lower. We do know the number of sales is a bit lower, and it is shifting basically from a seller's market to more of a buyer's market. So with tools like this I think is going to allow a seller who needs to sell today get their house as shown in its best possible light, and hopefully it's the one that gets sold before the one down the street, for example.
Yeah, it's a huge benefit for both the buyers and the sellers. So it's rare that we'll find a tool that benefits both. Usually it's like in one's benefit versus the other.
Yeah, and it's funny because, going back to the photography, I can't tell how many times I've heard, buyers say, oh, the photographer, they did too good of a job. The house doesn't look anything like the pictures.
Yeah, that's a problem.
This is obviously a truer, more accurate impression.
Yeah.
And you say it can't be edited.
You can't hide.
That's great. Well, thanks for showing us that, Maude.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll stop the sharing there. There you go.
One of the other things, and I know we've used this on properties before, is virtual staging.
Yes.
And I think I told you this at one point. If I didn't, I'll tell you now. But it was done so well that my senior client, with adult children who are looking to, furnish their own homes, perhaps with stuff that was handed down to them, thought that the property that we virtually staged that the seller had bought new furniture.
Furniture, so they wanted it.
And they wanted it. And she played a bit of a joke, but she kind of led them on a little bit, let them.
Oh, that's funny.
Furniture. So then they went to the property to go and see it, and of course the house was empty. So I think that's a testament, though, to just how well virtual staging can work. And obviously we're going to include a disclaimer in the listing that says
yes, you have to now.
Stage, we have
on Rico, you have to.
Yeah. But, for marketing pieces, whether it's even if it's just one shot or two shots that you want to use for a Facebook ad or something like that, and you're obviously going to stage it to match, the room as it is, with, whatever the wall colors are and that kind of thing. So it's an opportunity to kind of present that room as best as you possibly can. And now you've got a marketing piece that you can put out there.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard. When you see a rec room in the basement, you're like, can I fit a couch there? Can I not? Like, if it's vacant, you don't know. And then we've had, like, the way personally I do it, where I've had clients who say, can you put a pool table, a TV, and 2 chairs? And I literally said, it is impossible. Like, I can physically, because in one, but it's not fair because it's not real. You can't fit a pool table, a couch, a TV, and all that, everything that he wanted that he had. So that part too, because the way we try to do it is we try to make it as real as possible so that people cannot say, hey, wow, there's no way you can fit all that in here. And now they've been kind of lied to, deceived.
Can you go the other way with it? Can you take stuff out? So say, I don't know, I'm thinking of a basement den that's been in a house that's been occupied for 30, 40 years by a family, and they've accumulated lots of stuff, and now they're elderly, and it's hard to move it all out.
Yeah.
Can we show that room differently, even though it's already filled with maybe too much stuff?
Yeah, we've done that before where an example was a dining room. It had a really old rustic table with a big, big cabinet. We just cabinet to open up the space and change the dining room set to a more modern look. But it was the same size and everything. So that's an option. And the other one was a den in the basement, exactly that, filled with boxes up to the ceiling, garbage bags on the ground and everything. Yeah. And we just opened the door, took the picture of the room, went back to the computer and edited everything out, redid the floors, the walls, and then put in a bedroom set.
So and in those examples, I guess somebody like myself would need to be a little extra clear in that this has been virtually staged, so that they show up and find that it's not just been virtually staged and it's an empty room. It's a room full of stuff, and you go, oh my gosh, what's all this?
We've done other ones too where it was commercial and it was a restaurant. I think it was a big open space and there was nothing, and they wanted to show what it would look like if it was a restaurant. Okay. So we added stools and table and a kitchen and a bar and all this stuff, and it says clearly this is a rendering of what could happen. But instead of paying a rendering company, which could be like $1,100 for a picture, we just do it personally as Photoshop.
That's I never even thought of that for commercial spaces, but if a space is well suited or believed to be well suited to whatever the purpose may be, restaurant, bar, barber shop, whatever, if you can present it that way, and help people envision the end product, I think that help get the property sold or leased or whatever the situation is.
For sure.
That's excellent. One thing I always liked about the virtual staging is that it's also quite inexpensive, and I mean compared to actually renting furniture for 4 weeks and when you may only need it for a few days.
Mm-hmm. Renting furniture, paying the stager versus doing that is a lot cheaper. And also on the other side, if we want to do a renovation, we can do. We've had where we took a kitchen that had the parquet floors, old cabinets, old appliances, removed everything, made it all brand new, renovated, and road would look like renovated. Yeah. And then you could even go to a contractor and say, can you give us an estimate of how much? And if it's obviously, you have all the contacts, but it's obviously hard to estimate, but you could say for only 30 grand, you could have this option, or for 130 grand, you can have that. And then that way you can show the images and show it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's great. So bringing it back to, coronavirus and the fact that we're all kind of stuck at home for the most part, how are you and your team handling that aspect of it? Are you visiting the property solo?
Yes. So we're all mobile, all working from home, except me, myself, I guess, and people who freelance who go to the properties to do the 3D. Usually we say, nobody in the house, all the lights on so we don't have to touch anything, and then we don't move. Sometimes we'll go to a shoot and we'll move stuff around to make the shot better. What we shoot is what we get. We're not touching. So we're in and out, and then don't touch anything and walk out. Usually we use a lockbox if there's one.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people who just say, you know what, I'll leave the door unlocked, I'll go to my car, and when you're done, we can come back in.
Yeah. So there's basically, not only can the marketing of the property to potential buyers happen virtually, physically somebody still has to take the pictures and take the Matterport and measure the floor plans and all that kind of stuff. But so that you're doing solo without the homeowner home, potentially without even the agent, unless they need to.
Oh, the agents rarely, I see. Yeah. Usually the agents will just be there to make sure we're there and whatever, and stay outside.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent. Is there anything else that you would want to add, Maude? I think we're all bases.
We covered.
The goal here for me was to inform many of my viewers in a little bit more detail how we can virtually attract buyers to the property. I think perhaps the only thing we haven't touched on, now that I think about it, would be websites, but that's nothing new. So everything we've just discussed can be uploaded into the website.
Yeah.
And
usually a custom website, 1234mainstreet.com, and everything you've been doing, you were already a step ahead of other agents, and I find that's a big. Well, we know, right? We work with 300 agents, so I'm able to see which one is out there doing more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the tools are great, and the service from your company is second to none. So.
Thank you.
The fact that we're dealing with a pandemic and the fact that we're limited in what we can do and how we do it. The fact that the tools really almost make it seem like we're not limited.
Yeah.
And that business can carry on as close to business as usual as possible, while still achieving everybody's goals. And I think that's the important part, is being able to get sellers what they need out of a property, buyers to be able to actually find a property, and be able to do it all.
Reducing the amount of disruption for the sellers and for the buyers. I think the technology, once is over, the technology can stay. And if all the agents set a standard to do something like that, then it would be easy for you to show any other agent's properties using the same tools.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that some of and it's not just limited to this conversation, but a lot of things that we're, that are coming into play now while we're essentially, quarantined, will stay. And I think a lot of these new business practices will become the new normal going forward.
Totally.
This isn't temporary in terms of how we market property, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, Maude, I appreciate your time today. Thanks so much. And again, congratulations on chairing the Burlington Chamber of Commerce. Well deserved.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. See ya.